Ramanujadayapatram Jnanavairagyabhushanam Srimadvenkatanathāryam Vande Vedantadeshikam Lakshminatha Samarambham Nathayamuna Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Yo Nityam Achyuta Padambuja Yugmarukma Vyamohata Staditarani Trinayamene Asmat Gurur Bhagavatosya Dayeka Sindhoho Ramanujasya Charanau Sharanam Prapadye Mata Pita Yuvatayastanaya Vibhutis Sarvam Yadeva Niyamena Madanvayana Adyasya Nakulapater Vakulabhiramam Srimat Tadangri Yugalam Pranamami Murdhana Bhutam Sarascha Mahadahvaya Bhattanada Sri Bhaktisara Kulashekara Yogi Vahan Bhaktangri Renu Parakala Yatindra Mishran Srimat Parankushamunim Pranatosmi Nityam Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Vyasam Vasishthanaptaram Shakti Pautram Akalmasham Parasharatmajam Vande Shukatatam Tapo Nidhim Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave Namo Vai Brahmanidhaye Vasishtaya Namo Namaha Yogo Shatam Kanakashringa Mayam Dadati Vipraya Veda Vidushecha Bahushrutaya Punyamscha Bharata Katham Shunyamscha Nityam Tulyam Bhavati Tasya Chaiva Achaturvadanur Brahma Vivahu Raparohriki Aphala Lochana Shambhu Bhagavan Badarayanaha Parasharya Vachasudham Sumanasaha Duddabdi Madhyodridam Samsaradni Vidipana Vyapagata Pranatma Sanjeevani Purvacharya Surakshitam Bahumatim Vyaghata Durasthitam Anitam Tu Nijakshari Sumanasaha Bhaumah Pibantvan Vaham Shri Parashara Bhattaryaha Shrirangesha Purohitaha Shrivatsanka Sutta Shriman Shreyase Nestu Bhuyase. With the abundant blessings of Paramatma and with the incessant grace of the Pithadipati of Sri Ahobilamat Prakritam, Srimad Aragishingar, and with the support of so many astikas such as you all, in weekdays we have been speaking. So this is day 4. There's another day 5, which is tomorrow. So there I have to deal with the Shat Prashni, which comes at the start. The 6 questions posed by Yudhishthira to Bhishmacharya and the answers given by him. And the order in which the questions were asked, the order in which the questions were given. Mostly we will also get to experience and internalize the namas that relate to each of the questions and answers. As we have been witness to some of the namas, it is a sect of 1,000 namas. And honestly, a primitive mortal such as me can't do justice to it in 5 days. Nevertheless, we have chosen a few namas and a few anecdotes and pramana vakyam related to it. So today, let's go with a few namas beginning from 188 to 194. Those are the namas which Parashara Bhatta, the celebrated commentator, speaks about the Hamsavataram, Hamsam. So 193rd nama is Hamsaha, Suparnaha. These are the namas that deal with the Hamsavataram. Why did the Lord come as Hamsa? We have a small passage in our Puranas talking about the advent of the Lord as Hamsa. He says that Brahma once lost the ability to retain the Vedic knowledge that he had harnessed and gathered. Why? What did he do? It is said that Brahma yawned. See, these are all Upanyasams. These are lectures where one person speaks, many of them listen. Generally, it is a monologue. With the friends, Romans, and countrymen, I come to Delhi, Caesar, not to praise him, the evil that men do lives after them, the good is half interred with their bones, so let it be with Caesar. The noble Brutus had told him Caesar was ambitious. If it were so, it was a grievous fault, and grievously had Caesar answered it here under the leave of the Brutus, and the less for Brutus is an honorable man. It goes on. So you're all wonderful people. You're just being patient to my monologue. Until it turns into a soliloquy, you still would like to listen. But there are styles in Sanatana Dharma where we debate and discuss. So Shastram classifies that into three categories: Vitandam, Vadam, and Jalpam. One where I keep putting my stand, like Arnab Goswami does. That's Vadam. Then there's another place where we also let the other person speak. Then there is another place where we debate. So it's called Vitandam, Vadam, Jalpam. There are three different sets of discussion. But of course, in the place where we speak in our regular colloquial language, we have brought the first two together, call it Vitanda Vadam. But there are three different things: Vitandam, Vadam, and Jalpam. In the process of dissemination of knowledge, there's another pattern called Kalakshepam. Of course, again, now it has become, they prefixed it with the word Harikatha. Let it be Harikatha Kalakshepam, but Harikatha is different, Kalakshepam is different. Kshipan, Kshipati, Kshipa, these are all dhatus, which means to throw. You throw something, it's Kshipati, Kshipa. So when you throw something, it's Kshipa. The other word probably which we may be able to understand better is waste. To waste something, to throw something, is called Kshipa. Kalakshepa means to waste time. Literally in Sanskritam, Kalakshepa means wasting time. But it doesn't fit, right? That is when, as a language, Sanskritam is very, very, very smart. It says, do not add up the meanings when two words join. For example, Shuddham. Ante emi? Clean. So, basic questions you're asking. We will clear doubts for Shankara and Rama. You're asking all jujube questions. Shuddha is clean, pure. Atma is Atma. You cannot translate, but still, the Western world will want us to translate. So there's no closest word to Atma, but still, for our understanding, keep it as soul. So what is Shuddhatma? Clean soul, correct? No, but Shuddha plus Atma, Shuddhatma means inner apartment. Antahpuram is called Shuddhatma. Gramam, village. Simham, lion. Grama Simha, dog. In Sanskritam, Grama Simha means dog. So if somebody introduces you and says he's a Grama Simha, do not. So, Kalakshepam, when you bring that Kshipa and Kala together, it doesn't mean wasting time, it means spending time usefully. So in Kalakshepam, there's a paddhati where if the teacher teaches and the student keeps listening, there is no stipulated time that the student is ordained to listen to. At one point in time, if the student yawns, the rule states the teacher has to stop. Because while you're listening to Vedantic knowledge, if you yawn, again, I don't know whether it has a patent, whether it's proven, which lab is proven, whether there's a fund available for that research, all of that I do not know. Please do that part of research for me. There is a Shastric line which states, while you listen to Vedantic knowledge, you yawn, whatever you've heard till then will go away from you. Don't. So Brahma, understand Brahma's position. He has been producing, and maximum production in India and China. He's been incessant production. So, and he yawned. That is when whatever knowledge he had gathered of the Vedas went away. It turned volatile. That is when, like a little child that tries to remember what it is forgotten, Brahma wanted to remember. That is when the Lord appeared as Hamsam. Hamsa gave what knowledge was needed, relevant to Brahma. So he came as the bird. Again, interestingly, Hamsa bird is very, very interesting because this bird may not be largely found today. We don't have much presence of Hamsa bird. Of course, people who have been to Manasarovar and Kailash say that in the lake there are a few birds that sport, and they say it is Hamsa. I have not been to Manasarovar, so I do not know. But all our Shastras, at least for the sake of literature, keep talking about Hamsa. And it is believed to be a bird that had this divine ability to separate water from milk. See, water in milk is not like oil in water. Oil in water is easily demarkatable. You can see the demarcation. Whereas water and milk are not. They are two great friends, says Bhartrihari Niti Shatakam. You know that? Okay. So Bhartrihari was a great Sanskritam poet. So he has given us Shatakatrayam. Read these Shatakatrayam, very beautiful words. Probably your children may find it interesting. Niti Shatakam, Shrungara Shatakam, and Vairagya Shatakam. 100 verses on each of these topics. In one of these places, he says, milk and water are the thickest of friends. That's why people in Bharatadesham, the milkmen know this really well. They want to bring this thick friendship of milk and water. But the biggest enemy to the both of them is fire. So you keep fire down, a pot above it, and the milk water colloid above. And as it starts heating, the heat is generated, the water starts getting separated from the milk component. So it turns into the gaseous vapor state and it goes up. And the milk is not able to live without its closest friend, water. So it rises. It says, do not go, do not go, do not go. It rises. So then we feel bad for the milk and the water. So we take some more water and put it in. Say, keep quiet now. So Bhartrihari says this in one of the shlokas. But the beauty about milk, I don't know how is the milk here, A1, A2, A3, I don't know. But whenever I used to boil milk, I've noticed one thing. It won't boil while I'm looking at it. Somehow my eyes will miss it, or probably it has that Avyayaha Purushaha Sakshi. It will keep seeing this man is looking at me, I should not boil. The moment somebody rings and I turn this side, it will boil, it will spill all over and give me a half an hour's job. So this Hamsa bird has the ability to check what is relevant and what isn't. So this ability of the Hamsa bird is seen in certain selected mortals. They rise above the others and they are able to clearly distinguish what is good from the bad. They are greater than the Hamsas. So they are called Paramahamsas. Interestingly, this is one of the mudras of a great Vagyakara called Sadashiva Brahmendra. Wherever he sings, he says Paramahamsa Mukha Chandra Chakore. That was his mudra. Now, the Lord came as the Hamsa. That is why the 193rd Nama is Hamsaha. What is the Vyakhyanam given to that? Manoharam Hanti Gachati Smayata Itiva Hamsaha. Look at the commentary. Manoharam Hanti. Very pretty to look at. Gachati. So, along with Hamsa, we also have something called Hamsa Gati. See, in Bharatadesham, we are attached to animals and birds. Most of our gatis are related to animals. When Rama walks, Janaka welcomes him into Mithila. He says, Gajasimha gati virau shardula vrishabhopamau. When Rama and Lakshmana walk, he says, Gajasimha gati virau shardula vrishabhopamau. Gajasimha. So Rama and Lakshmana are walking. Why should he compare Gaja Simha? When the Gaja walks, the Simha will quietly walk next to it. Shardula Vrishabhopamau. When the tiger comes, the Vrishabha will be quiet and will walk next to it, like how Lakshmana is walking next to Rama. So for the woman, Tirumangayalvar in Periya Tirumozhi says, Anna Nadai. So it seems on the streets of Nachiyar Kovil. I don't know, you've heard of Nachiyar Kovil? You heard of Nachiyar Kovil? If you have not heard it, hear it now. So Nachiyar Kovil is called Tirunarayur. The Lord is Srinivasa Nambi. So there, the Hamsas used to wait on either sides of the street to see the women walk. It is not as if the women are learning the gait of Hamsagati from Hamsas. The Hamsas are learning how to walk from the women of Nachiyar Kovil. Women of Nachiyar Kovil, if you're here, please be happy. Praise your place. So, Vedanta Deshika says this in another place. You know, Kanchipuram, where Brahma wanted to do Ashwamedham, but he had promised to do 1,000 Ashwamedhams. But performing one Ashwamedham itself is tough. And you should have the wife, the Karta should have his wife alongside while he's performing the yaga. Saraswati, she had many concerts. She said, I can't come. So Brahma, he had a backup plan. So he called Savitri and he performed the Yaga Mata Hastigiri, which is in Kanchipuram. Narada could have kept quiet. Who? He goes and complains to Saraswati Devi that my father is performing the yaga without you, but in the presence of Savitri. Saraswati gets immensely angry. So she comes in the form of a huge river to destroy the Yajnavatika of Brahma. That Vegam, she becomes a river called Vegavati. And she comes. So Vedanta Deshika says this in Mai Virada Manniyam. Annavadi Valashayum Annanadayal Uyaru Annavara Seri Varuvai Attanayan Muttiyana Attiyana Utti Puriyal Nannadavida Idenna Nadava Nadav Kuvaderi Idival. So Annavadival Asayum Annanadayal Uyaru Annavara Seri Varuval. So the one who comes on the swan while she walks with the gait of a swan, the one who sports dress as white as the feathers of the swan, now comes in the form of a river. There is a beautiful work of 110 verses by Vedanta Deshika, the lesser known mathematician, a sagacious dietitian, a consummate dramatist, a poet extraordinaire, a polyglot, and a polymath, to say the least, of the 13th century, in a work called Hamsa Sandesham. So this Hamsa, which Parashara Bhatta says, Manoharam Hanti, very pretty to look at, Gachati, walks, Smayata iti va Hamsaha. Smayata, when it smiles, it is so beautiful. Hamsa, I don't know when he saw the bird smile. I've seen only a Donald Duck. So Hamsaha, when Sita went along with Rama to the forest, what was she wearing? Sari, sir. What question are asking? Basic questions and all are asking. What did Anjali Devi wear with N.T. Ramarao? No, sir. She wore Venkatagiri or Mangalagiri. Pochampalli. Correct. What jewelry did she wear? Lot. Full jewelry. Narayana pearls. What did she wear? Malabar. What did she wear? Huh? Flowers she wore. She was like Shakuntala, Samantha. Sir. What else did she wear? Chudamani. Chudamani. Okay. Did she wear jewelry? Yes. Did she wear silk sarees? Yes. No. No, sir. She wore only cotton. She was against violence. What did she wear? Huh? Okay. Sir, was silk there that time? Okay. Now, she first wanted to be the shoulder of great support to Rama. So she thought, whatever Rama is wearing, then I will wear. So she started wearing the Valkalam. But then she couldn't fit with that dress. That is when the other wives of Dasharatha started crying. Look at the state of their daughters. In those days, mothers-in-law were good. So they looked at Sita and they started crying. That is when Dasharatha gets up from his bed. Check this in Ayodhya Kandam. You can fact check me. He says, my daughter-in-law should not suffer just because my son is bearing the brunt. Let whatever clothes and jewelry be required for the 14 years, Lakshmana, you take it along. So Lakshmana took all saris, Paithani, Benares brocade, Muga, everything he took. So Sita wore silk clothes and jewelry in the forest. While she was kidnapped, because that is the eventful day, that is when she is kidnapped. On the day she was kidnapped, her sari had the border of Hamsam. How do we know that? Vedanta Deshika says, Taddakulankamutau tanmanjira pratamanidade nyasya nishpanda drishtihi. So this Hamsa is so important. It becomes, I don't know if you remember 1980s, there used to be one small portion in the news. Kaanavillai. Olliyana uruvam nijar potu kondirundha. So something you have to give identification. Sita had Hamsa. How? So the Smayata, it smiles. So Hamsa, the name of the Lord, denotes the one who incarnated as Hamsa, very beautifully, walked with a superior gait and smiled beautifully. That is the 193rd Nama. 194th Nama is Suparnaha. Beautiful feather. That is a simple meaning. Shobhana Paranatvat Samsara Paranadva Suparnaha. The one who has got beautiful feathers, and alongside he will hold our hand and help us cross this ocean, is called Suparnaha. Now, the Lord came as a bird, but in Krishna Avataram, when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, he also killed a bird called Baka. Who was Baka's sister? Baki. Ah, very good. Putana was called Baki. Her name was Baki in Bhagavatam. Now, after Bakasura was killed, there was a huge body of that bird lying. Now, these boys wanted to know how to dispose that body. So they started taking the feathers from Baka. And they created a beautiful fence around Vrindavanam with those white feathers of Baka. So much so that from the celestials, when they looked from the top, they thought that the constellation of stars had gone all the way down. Vedanta Deshika says, Sapakshay Kailasa Nibhasya Gopa Bakasya Pakshan Abhito Babanduhu Vane Tadanyapi Ghora Vrittin Ksheptum Pravritta Iva Ketumala. Next, this is Hamsavataram. There are a few namas that describe the Lord as Vata Patra Shayi. They are from 301 to 314. Vyakta Rupaha. There is a nama called, this is 306th nama, Vyakta Rupaha. What does Vyakta Rupaha mean? Abhigachato Markandeyadehe Vyakta Rupaha Sugraha Divya Vigraha iti Vyakta Rupaha. Now there's a Kshetram. Those of you who are from different states, note down these places so that when you come to Bharatadesham, if you have little time, you can visit these temples. There is a Kshetram for Lord Shiva called as Tirukadayu. So he's called Amrita Ghateshwara. The Parvati there is extremely famous. Her name is Abhirama Sundari. There are a set of over 100 verses in chaste Tamil celebrating the goddess there. It is believed in the Sthala Puranam that a rishi came in the lineage of Mrikandu. And this boy who was born in that Mrikandu Vamsham was called Markandeya. But this Markandeya, looking at his horoscope, they said that he won't survive over 60. Very intelligent boy, extremely devoted to Lord Shiva, Shiva Bhakti. Around that age of 16, while he was in the temple premises, the Sthala Puranam tells that while he was venerating Lord Shiva, Yama came on a buffalo. And he has got one noose called as a pasham. So this pasham was put on the boy, and interestingly, it also fell on the lingam. And while Yama tried to pull, we have the Sthala Puranam, which tells that Lord Shiva emerged as Kala Samhara Murti and said, I cannot disturb you, Yama, because you are doing your duty, but I cannot not protect my devotee. So you said that you will come only if he completes 16. So let him remain 16. Endrum 16. Let him remain always 16. Let him sing Sindura Puve. Let him remain 16. Now, at the outset, living eternally, perennially may seem like a boon, but it isn't. First of all, the government will not have so much of money to keep giving pension. So, Markandeya wanted to engage his time really well. So he walked westwards from Tirukkadayur and went to a very beautiful hamlet that was infested with tulasi plants. He kept his Paranakashala there and he started meditating. He heard the cry of a little girl. While he looked at the girl, she had the resplendence of Sridevi and the patience and perseverance of Bhuma Devi. So she had the greatness of Ma and the patience of Bhu. So she was called Bhuma. This Bhuma was nurtured and nourished by Markandeya Maharshi. One day, while he was seated on the outer pedestal, he saw one old man walk. That man looked like 1 foot on the grave. He came. And this Markandeya asked, sir, how can I help you? To which that old man said, I believe you have a girl of marriageable age in your house. She is very small, sir. No, I've been looking for one. For your grandson? He asked, no, for me. Sir, you look so old, but you're still asking. But in those days, they were worried about rishis and their temperament and the shapam. So he said, let my daughter come. My daughter will reject this tata. So he said, Bhuma, come here. Bhuma she was watching Venkatesh Bhatt. She was doing something and she came out and she said, what, daddy? Markandeya said, check this old man. This old man wants to marry you. No, she felt very shy. She had that coyness when she looked at him. Markandeya was confused. There is nothing to feel shy looking at this old man. Why is this girl alone feeling shy? To her eyes alone, the old man appeared like a young man with bell-bottoms. Immediately, Markandeya didn't understand. He asked, are you interested? Yes, I'll marry this man. Then Markandeya wanted to make this deal even more tougher. So he said, see, I don't know. She cooks on certain days, but she doesn't know in what proportion salt should be added. That man said, my doctor too tells don't have salt. He too tells. So no Gompura, no nothing. I will go saltless. So he became Uppiliyappan. Now this Markandeya, after having gotten his dear child married, he wanted to go and seek moksha. He went to a kshetram called Sarak Kshetram, Tirucheri. The Lord said, towards the end of this janma, you shall get moksha. Now, how will he spend that little time? From Tamil Nadu, he went to Uttarakhand. He sat at the foothills of Nara and Narayana Parvat. You remember yesterday, 8.5, I spoke about Nara Narayana Avatar. Nivritti Dharma, Nivrittatma, yesterday, one nama. Should keep remembering what was told yesterday. Please give it an exercise. Now, as he was meditating, he had a very unique ichha. How will the world see dissolution, destruction, pralayam? That is when he meditated on the Lord said, instant wish, like noodles, he said, I will instantly grant you. Close your eyes. Markandeya closed. Open. As Markandeya opened his eyes, those large boulders, rocks which were seated on those age-old mountains of Narayana Parvatam started hitting at each other. They started rolling. There was absolute colossal mess around. The waters of Alakananda, Bhagirathi swelled up. The trees were uprooted. Markandeya was just seeing all this happening in front of his eyes. So much so that his hermitage also went. And he started swimming in this Pralayarnavam. Pralayarnavam means the ocean of deluge. As he started swimming, at a distance, he spotted some blue color resplendent little ant going left and right. He went closer. It wasn't an ant. It was a little boy with a hue of sapphire that's just cut from an Indranila Parvatam. Indranila Mani Sannipapagana. Beautiful. That hue of that sapphire is seen in that boy. A beautiful Vata Dalam supporting the boy. The Ascharyam was there was not a single tree of Vata Vriksham around, but somehow the leaf has alone managed to float. A little boy is housed on that leaf. He goes closer and he's checking if there are any parents or grandparents around. Nobody. He asks, "Who are you?" The boy takes his foot and starts sucking his toe. Now, why does he do it? Shukabrahmam doesn't give a reason as to why he does that. But one of the other great composer poets called Narayana Tirtha in Krishna Leela Tarangini states, it seems every devotee goes in the presence of the Lord and states, "Your foot is so sweet. It is like the Shondesh. It's like the Gudeyudu Rasgulla. It's like Champakri, the Chonopes. It's like the Putarekulu. Putarekulu telesa. Telugu variki telesa Putarekulu? Telineda. See, Putarekulu, that's a gateway to heaven. First, you'll have to put that starch in the form of a dosa, thin, crisp dosa. Then you have to add loads of ghee. Be generous. Then spread as much sugar, and as sugar jaggery, there'll be a minor difference. Okay, I use only jaggery. HbA1c will be 6.1. That's all. So then you add some dry fruits, roll it, and you cannot stop with one. It is Bhagavad Anubhava. That is called Putarekulu. Bandar Laddu Telisa. Kakinada Kaja. You know the Ambalapura Payasam? Then Puran Pori. Then you got Adirasa. Manoharam. Manoharam Maruta Tulyavi. You got all these sweets. So devotees keep going and praising in the presence of the Lord that your feet is so sweet. The Lord was a lot perplexed. He thought, is my foot so sweet? Let me check. And then suck the stored seeds, says Narayana Tirtha. How do you know that he sucked his toes? Were you there? I was not there. But who else was there? TSR, Gokul Santa was there. Kararavindena padaravindam mukharavinde viniveshayantam vatasya patrasya puteshayanam balam mukundam manasa smarami balam mukundam manasa smarami. So this boy did this. Then Markandeya still didn't get the point. Then he asked, "Who are you? You're doing something." The boy then showed his chest. Vakshasthalam says Markandeya to Yudhishthira in Vanaparva of Mahabharata. So he saw Mahalakshmi. "Oh, this is my Lord. My Lord," he said. That vacuum cleaner absorbs, right? The boy, he absorbed Markandeya, went in. What should Markandeya have seen within the Lord's esophagus? As he would have slid through the esophagus and gone into the stomach, he should have seen the acidic juices coming, the bile getting poured from liver, the insulin coming from the islets of the Langerhans of the pancreas, the gallbladder minus the stones, and then the intestines below. He should have seen all of this, but he didn't see. He saw Naranarayana Parvatam at the foothills is an ashramam, seated is Markandeya doing tapas, Alakananda flowing. He was seeing another Markandeya. From this, he understood that there are certain cosmic processes which are beyond our comprehension. Let us spend our little time usefully rather than understanding the nuances of the Lord's creation. While he had this knowledge, immediately he was out of the stomach and then he was meditating. So it is absolutely, something very, I don't know what is the example, the curious case of Benjamin Button, or probably the deception or the inception point, or the time travel of the prisoners of Azkaban. So it is something very similar, or probably these are very similar to what he had seen. So this Lord, who clearly shows Markandeya who he is called Vyakta Rupa. Abhigacchato Markandeya Dehe Vyakta Rupa Sugraha Divya Vigraha iti Vyakta Rupa. Now, we have spoken about Markandeya Charitra. There are a few namas, 315th nama till 322nd nama, which deals with Parashuram. See, there were many ramas. Alvar tells, Munnu Viramanai, Tanai, Pinnu Viramanai. There were 3 famous Rams. 4 actually. One was Jairam. Who was Jairam? Jamadagni's son. Parashurama was Jairam. Jamadagniya. Jamadagni Rama, Jamadagniya, Jairam. Next was B-Ram. Dasharatha Rama. Next was V-Ram. Vasudeva's son, Balarama. N-Ram? Now he's in Chennai. So these are the Ramas that we had. When Vishwamitra barges into the assembly of Dasharatha. Dasharatha was then worried. My son is not married. Darakriyam Prati, says the Shlokam. He was worried my son is not married. What was Rama's age? 12. Father was very worried. Why is my son not married? That is when Vishwamitra comes. The moment Vishwamitra comes, immediately Dasharatha makes lot of promises. Whatever you ask, I will do. He's like our politician. Before election, whatever. I'll give you. Honorable V. Srinivasa Shastri used to state, he was a king who used to promise in haste and repent in leisure. I don't know how many of you have made the hasty decision of coming. Repent from the day after tomorrow. So here, Dasharatha promised, whatever you ask, I will give, sir. Whatever you ask. This man said, Swaputram Rajashardulam Ramam Satya Parakramam Kakapaksha Dharam Veeram Jeshtham Me Datumarhasi. Give the eldest of your sons to me. Who was Kakapaksha? Kakapaksha means when you comb, after you comb well. I've noticed this in my house. They'll comb really well. After that, they will put some hair in the front. They'll spend 10 minutes very well. That which rolls without the roller, it should roll and fall on either sides of your temple. Those temple locks are referred to as Kakapaksham in Sanskrit. So that was a fashion of those days. The commentator says Rama was a fashionista. He had been given the opportunity, he would have traveled to Paris as well. Kakapaksha dharam veeram jeshtham me datumarhasi. Give the eldest of your sons who follows fashion. Dasharatha swooned. Dasharatha said, had you asked for me, I would have come. You're asking for my Atma. Rama is my Atma. In English, you say it, apple of my eye. He's my sustenance. He's my pranavayu. You ask for Rama. That is when Vasishtopi Mahatejaha Yeche me tapasisthitaha. Vasishta says, no. Vishwamitra and I, we are all rivals. But I agree that Vishwamitra also a learned person. For internship, you send your son with him. That is when Dasharatha is convinced. He says, Vishwamitra, you have asked for my son. Probably you've mistaken. See, now we have everything has changed. At least in front of my eyes, I'm not that old, neither too young. Like Nisimha, I'm somewhere in the middle. So I remember in 1990s, we used to have a huge yellow color telephone directory. So if you have to search for Sridhar, there'll be lakhs of Sridhars. You have to search in that. So Dasharatha tells Vishwamitra, you have come to the wrong address. You wanted to meet Rama, but you have come to the address of D Ram. You should have gone to the house of J Ram. You should have come to Nesamani Punnayatari. You should have gone to Nasamani Punna. You have gone there, you come here. Why? Because Parashurama was a contemporary of Rama. Sir, here is where is the problem, sir. You go on, we'll ask that question. We'll all have a question. I tell you where the question will come. Then finally, Rama, Dasharatha agrees and sends Rama, and then Rama kills Tataka. Dinakaran Vayatilakam Divya Gadhi Suta. Gadhi Suta is Vishwamitra. Gadhi's son. Gadhi Suta Savana Vanarachita Subhahu Mukavadam. Pause. Ahalya Pavanam Anaghamisha Chapabhangam Janaka Suta Pranesham Ghana Kupita Bhrugurama. Here, where Bhrugurama comes, our J-Ram. When Rama strung the bow of Shiva in Janaka's palace. See, originally it was not a Swayamvaram. In all our dance productions, we will show 4 men will be standing, each one will try to lift, they'll all fall. And finally Rama will come. Latest, he will take them. You have seen that? But there is no such incident in Srimad Ramayana. Sita calls it Swayamvaram to Anasuya Devi in the last few sargas of Ayodhya Kandam. But in Bala Kandam, there is no incident where many people come, they all sit, each one tries. All this is not there. There is a Dhanush Puja. See, Markandeya Samhita states, even when children are born, you should, at about age of 6-7 months, you should keep a few ayudhams in front of them, pen, all that in front of them, and they should be given the option to choose. Whatever they choose, they will become that. So we go to career options that early. The Markandeya Samhita should add a few more things, iPad, all that also you could. So here we have the Dhanush Puja which was happening in Mithila. So Rama goes. By the time Vishwamitra takes these 2 young men along to Mithila, the Dhanush Puja is over. So the Dhanush had gone back to the pavilion. That is when Vishwamitra says, please show that bow to Rama. Janaka accepts that with all humility. He asks the men to bring, the strong men bring the bow. Now he tells Rama, Vatsarama Dhanuh Pasya iti Raghavam Abravi. Rama, go and see how that bow is. Had he told me, I would have gone and seen. What he meant by see is brackets, f of x in maths. Lift and see. That lift is not there. Why? Because the commentator says, Kosalaha saha ingitagyaha. People of Kosala province were very adept in understanding eye gestures. So what did Vishwamitra say? Vatsarama Dhanuhu Pashya. Part. That Yedit comes in that eye. So Rama went, lifted the bow. So the bow has one basic thing where the string is kept separately. We'll have to string it, for which there will be a small bend at the top and at the bottom. Rama kept his foot tight on one end of the bow, had to bend that bow and then string it. You know, one poet, interestingly, he states, the other end of the bow thought, what bhagyam the other end has to see Rama's foot's association. So it instantly broke and fell to his feet. Now, as such, the bow was a cracked one. There was a crack in the bow. It was not usable. Valmiki states this. So this was not used. So it was like an antique piece. And Rama broke. See, imagine Rama's plight. You go to somebody's house and you break. What is it to die? Janaka says, see, I didn't mean to. Janaka said, no, don't feel bad at all. Don't feel bad at all, Rama. I have people who can correct it. Marry my daughter. This is a bigger surprise. See, I break something. And the prayashchittam for that is marriage. He said, in this avataram, I will marry only if my parents agree. That's why he said, this avataram. Next avataram. Went on and on. You know, these days we have this event management companies that manage marriages. So there'll be 4 or 5 women who will be given the same dress. They'll be standing at the reception. Namaskar. They've given me 2,000. They've asked me to welcome. Keep quiet and get me. So typically, you know, Devaki used to have a huge 7-Up, I don't know what is the drink here, Fanta, Mirinda, Coke bottle with some holes at the top. She used to have the Harati ready. Because if somebody would knock, it would be the daughter-in-law for that day. But Rama said, see, I have to get my father's permission. Then father said, good thing that Janaka, that my son has won this beautiful contest and you're giving your daughter in marriage, because he didn't have to put that advertisement 5'7", groggy complexion, clean habits. That clean is very relative. So with cultural values, if you're interested, see Kalai no more. So he said, okay, we will all come. They all came. After the marriage, while they were leaving Mithila to Ayodhya, you know the map, right? From Nepal to Uttar Pradesh. On that journey, Bhargavarama comes. J. Ram comes. He says, you think you've proven your valor of prowess by breaking that bow which already had a crack. Prove your valor by holding my bow. For which Rama asked, if at all I take your bow, I need a target. Where should I hit? He said, all the Shakti that I have gained and gathered from austerities and penances. So then Rama lifted the bow. Anayasam, there is a word. Without effortlessly. And he said, see, Parashurama, you know, Rama was very, very calm and poised. I should actually be killing you. See with what tenor he says. I should actually be killing you. But I won't. Because your father was a great man. Looking at your father's greatness, I won't be killing you. Keep quiet and get to the ranges of Mahendragiri. And then he retires to the range of Mahendragiri, which is the current day hill next to the temple town of Tirukkurungudi. That's where Tamraparani begins. The river begins, and later Sugriva will tell this in Kishkinda Kanda. Fine. So this is our Parashurama's understanding. Now, one question I told all of you will have in your mind. Why should one avatar fight the other avatar? What will James Cameron think? One avatar is fighting the other avatar. Because the Lord chooses to be him in totality. That is Purna Avataram. Tatte pratyagra dhara dhara lalita kala yavali kelikaram lavanya syaikasaram sukriti jana drisham purna punyavataram lakshmi nishankalila nilayanam amritasyanda sandohamantaha sinchatu sanchintakanam vapuranu kalaye marudagara natha, says Bhattatri Narayani. Punyavataram, Purnavataram, he will be him. For us, largely it is Rama Avataram and Krishna Avataram, where the Lord was him. In most other avatarams, he will choose Jivatmas like us and shall inject one of his many auspicious qualities. Then such avatarams are called Amsha Avatarams. So this Amsha Avataram can easily be won by a Purna Avataram. That is why every decision of Balarama was easily overruled by Krishna. Every decision of Parashurama was overruled by Rama. So it is not as if Avataram is fighting an Avataram. There is only one Avataram there, Rama. Parashurama Avataram is an Amsha Avataram. Just like us, he will induce, he will select certain individuals. One of the gunas of the Lord is anger. That is called Drape. That is why in Sri Rudram you get Drape, Andhasaspate, Daridran Nilalohita. So the one who gets angry. Chinattinal Tennilangai Komanai Chetra Manattikiniyan. The one who gets anger beautifully. When will you say that this person gets angry beautifully? Only when the person gets angry relevantly. Nobody will like it. For everything he will get angry. Nobody will respect it. Nobody will respect his anger also. So you should have a reason and you should know how to control that anger. Shastram tells. Anger is also a quality, but you should know how to rein in that anger. Then you are unfit to get angry. You do not know how to control. So Parashurama was of that kind. Just because his father Jamadagni was killed by a Haihaya king. You know Haihaya king? They were Haihayas who ruled Maheshwar. Maheshwar became Mahishmati. You know Mahishmati Prabhasuru. So the king who ruled, the Haihaya king who ruled was called Kartaviryarjuna. This Kartaviryarjuna once saw a cow politics. He saw this cow in the hermitage of Jamadagni. He asked for the cow. Jamadagni said, I can't. He stole that cow. Immediately, Jamadagni raised a cry. Immediately, Kartaviryarjuna killed Jamadagni. Understanding that this king has killed his helpless father, he goes on a genocide, killing every king whom he saw. One king who was ruling Ayodhya then, before Dasharatha and Aja, he wanted to escape the wrath of the incoming Parashurama. So he went and stood behind the women, holding them as his armor. So he stood behind them. So in Raghuvamsham, Kalidasa calls that king as Nari Kavacha. So this Parashurama kills so many kings, and invariably all the property owned by them comes to him. He didn't desire for property, but as the king dies, there's no left heir apparent. All that bhumi comes to him. So one day, Kashyapa Maharishi stops him. He says, "Sir, please don't do this, Parashuram. ऐसा नहीं कर सकते हैं आप. ये क्या है? ये क्या वध कर रहे हैं आप?" So when Kashyapa Maharishi says, Parashurama stops. He says, "Now I realize all the folly that I have done. Okay, I shall give back all the land to you. I don't want this land," says Parashurama. Now Kashyapa didn't want to accept this bhumi, but he was worried if he will be the next Bali if he doesn't accept. So he said, "You give." Because the bhumi on which this dhanam was given was extremely pious. That bhumi where Parashurama did dhanam to Kashyapa is called Kurukshetra. That is why it was selected for Mahabharata Yuddham. Now, the moment all the property land is owned by Kashyapa, then Parashurama feels, I should not live on this land. He retires to down south and reclaims land from the sea, and that becomes Parashurama Kshetra or Kerala. So this Rishi, Kashyapa, who stopped Parashurama from killing any further kings and asked him to cool down, that Lord is, Parashurama is referred to as Krodhaha. Krodhaha, Krodha Kritkarta. This Krodhaha is that Nama. Trisaptavaram, 3-7, 21. Narapati Nirasakaram Krodham Kashyapa Prarthana Matrena Hatavan. Kashyapa Prarthana Matrena. Because of Kashyapa's request, the one who stopped, who knew how to rein in his anger at least now, Hatavan iti Krodhaha. He's called Krodhaha. Then the one who killed Kartaviryarjuna. See, before doing this, he killed Kartaviryarjuna. So he's called Karta. Krodaha, Krodha Kritkarta, Vishwabahur Mahidharaha. That Karta, 316th Nama. Tatha Vidha Krodha Hetoho Kartaviryasya Cheta Karta. Is called Karta. Now comes beautiful set of, there are two sets in Sahasranamam, close to the commentator says, which talks about Ramavatar. So while introducing Ramavataram, the commentator states, Atha Mrita Sanjeevanam Ramacharitam. Mrita Sanjeevanam Ramacharitam. It will rejuvenate even a person who's lying in the ICU. You tell Ramanamam, they'll be rejuvenated. Atha Mrita Sanjeevanam. So there is one Nama. See, in Ramavataram and Krishnavataram have so many contrasts in them. When the Lord chose to be Dasharatha's son Rama, he wanted to be a normal human being. Very normal human being. He was a very idealistic person, but at times he was a very normal human being. When Sita is abducted, he will cry. Sita, cry. Normal human being has to cry. He should not do Bhagavad Gita, no. Right? Labha, labho, jaya. Treat victory and defeat as the same. You should cry. So he cried. See, generally in our Upanyasam circle, we are all very, very vigilant what to speak of Rama. Rama, his father said, Ram, tomorrow you will become the heir apparent. Okay, he said. Next day he said, there's a small change in the plan. You have to go to the forest. Immediately Rama said, Appodu alarmda Shennamarainai vendradamo, says Kamban. Kamban says, the previous day when he was told that he shall be the heir apparent, he was like a blossomed lotus. That lotus would have blossomed at 6 a.m. But his face was like the lotus at 12 noon. It would have slightly withered, right? But the day when he was told that he had to go to the forest, his face blossomed like the lotus that blossoms at 6 a.m. So this is what we all keep praising. Rama did this, Rama. Correct. But there are two occasions. In Aranya Kandam, when Rama, Sita and Lakshmana enter the forest, a demon called Viradha comes and kidnaps Sita. First kidnap one. Sita is being kidnapped. She says, Ram, Ram, Ram. Echo. Ram, Ram, Ram. Sita, Sita, Sita. Ram keeps running behind Viradha. Now Lakshmana also has to run. But now Lakshmana also runs. Now what Rama says is very astonishing. You can fact check me. In Aranya Kandam, there's a shlokam where Rama says, Lakshmana, look at mistake. Come to the forest, she's being kidnapped. I'm sure my mother Kaikeyi will be happy now. Rama says, we will never expect. N.T. Ramarao never said this. He never said this to country boy. Then again when Sita is kidnapped, the same dialogue comes when Rama tells this to Lakshmana. Why? He wanted to be a normal human being. However you try to be principled, there will be occasions where you may go slightly astray. Nobody else has to give us a certificate. We know who we are. So there are certain occasions we keep doing Archana. Prakrityai namaha, vikrutyai namaha, vidyayai namaha, sarvabhuta hidapradayai namaha, shraddhayai namaha, paramatmikayai namaha, vache namaha, swadhayai namaha, swahayai namaha, dhanyayai namaha, hiranmayai namaha, lakshmai namaha, nitya pushtayai namaha, vibhavaryai namaha. We do Archana and come if the stock value goes down. Sarvabhuta Daridra Dhvapsinyai namaha, Bhadre namaha, Bhadravarimye namaha, Navadurgaya namaha, Mahakalyai namaha. That will come. Initially we go like flower, next is an arrow. Sarga Mudaita Sara Malaipo. So that is human mentality. Rama wanted to be a human. Understand that. See, if we go by Quora.com, all these press conferences, Ram ne aisa bad kyun kiya? Ram ne Sita ji ko havan mein kyun Chada. Agni Pariksha ki. See, we should understand he's a normal human being. He wanted to be a normal human being. So, when people used to ask him, sir, you look so divine, sir. No. I am a normal human being. My name is D. Ram. I am M. Kumaran, son of Mahalakshmi. I am Ram, son of Dushyanth. So, the one who was satisfied being a human, Atmanam Manusham Manye Ramam Dasharathatmajam, is called Tushtaha. Tushta Pushta Shubhekshanaha. Tushtaha. I'll read out the Vyakhyanam. Adhikrita adhikaratva atishayena samasta manushyadi adhikarayo dasharitatva jagat palanayo labhat pritaha tushtaha. The one who incarnated as Rama, the son of Dasharatha, loved being a normal human being, is called Rama. That's why I said there's a huge contrast, world of difference between Rama and Krishna. Now, when he was born itself, Chaturbhujam Balagam Ambujekshanam, look at pages, I am Vishnu, he said. Rama was normal. Now, there is another Nama. Tushta Pushta Subekshanaha Ramo Viramo Virajo Margo Neyo Nayo Nayaha Veera Shakti Matam Sreshto Dharmo Dharma Viduttamaha Vaikunta Purusha Prana Prana the Pranava Putuhu Hiranyagarbha Shatrughuno Vyapto Vayuradokshajaha. There is a name called Vayu. See, I'm skipping many names. I'm just giving a few namas. Vayu. Easy Vayu. See, interpretation is, I know Sanskritam, it doesn't mean I can interpret Sahasranamam. Know this very clearly. When I take up Parashara Bhatta's commentary, you have to stick to the rules of Paniniya Vyakaranam and then do the interpretation. Vayu, the one who is the air. It should be relevant. There will be 4, 5 times Govinda Nama comes. Govindo, Govidampatihi, Mahavaraho, Govinda. 5 times Govinda Nama comes. Every time you can't say, refer to 415th Nama. Then it is called Punaravritti Dosham. If repetition happens, it leads to a dosham. See, if you have seasoned speakers, they will know to what content to come up with. If you take primitive speakers like me, I will keep repeating certain things. People will say, see, he has used the word incidentally twice. He has used the word interestingly thrice. He has used the word surprise 4 times because we are short of vocabulary. That is not the case with Bhishmacharya. So the interpretation has to conform to the rules of Paniniya Vyakaranam, and it should be Pramana Prasiddham. It should conform to Pramana. See, whenever you speak from Vyasapitham, if somebody asks you, name that name, can you tell where it is from? I should tell it is from Vayu Purana. I don't know, I read it in Kumudam last week. Then I'm not an Upanyasam. Kumudam, Vingadan cannot help in Upanyasam. Now, there is one Nama called Vayu. Why is it called Vayu? See, have you heard of Indra's Sabha, Amaravati? Have you heard of Indra's Amaravati? Not Naidu's Amaravati. There is an Amaravati. In Amaravati, as you enter Indra's house, there used to be a divine stone called as Chintamani. Whatever you ask, it will grant. In the backyard, there would be a Kalpaka Vriksham with the Parijata Pushpam in it. Whatever you ask, the tree will grant. Then there used to be a divine cow called as Kamadheni. These were the treasures of Indra's house. So Shachi Devi or Indra, if they want some menu tomorrow, Purucha Korandu. Ashadu. You know Ashadu? I'm not abusing. You, I don't know whether you get those large brinjals you get here. You have to heat them directly on fire. It will turn dark, like Moolavar. Then you have to remove the layer and then squash it. And then, okay, I will give you the menu later. Now, whatever comes out of that, in the south of India and Tamil Nadu, it is called Ashadu. So you make Ashadu. So there is another Ashadu that you all know. So, all this Shachi Devi used to go and ask. And the tree used to give. So there was no need for them to go to the kitchen doing this. There is no need for all those advertisements. Whatever they ask, they will get. So this was called Kalpaka Vriksha. Parijatam. Parijata means whatever you ask, it will grant. But To get what you need from Parijatam, you have to go to that tree and ask. Go to that place, it will grant you. But Rama kept granting grace, his benign grace and moksham to all the people in the forest as he walked. He granted moksham, but didn't wait for people to come to his place and ask. He went to their place and granted. So Vedanta Deshika says he is also Parijatam, but he's mobile Parijatam, Jangama Parijata. So Rama went to the house of Guha, knocked his door. Guha was extremely happy. Nishadana Veda Kapi Kulapati Kapi Shabari Kuchela Kuja Sabraja Yuvata Yoho Malya Krudati Amisha Minnatvam Vrishagiri Pader Unnati Mapi. Tirumangayalvar says, Yelai Yedalam Kilmagan Yenadirangi Machavarkin Narul Shurand Malay Man Madai Noki Bumbi Embi Endolindilai. We have the beautiful description of the celebrated poet Kambal. Sumantra describes Guha's bhakti. Gangair Karai Udayan Kanakirandana Vayan Ungal Pulanadakku Uyirtunaivan Uyatolan Vengarayin Yeranayan Virpidita Velainan Karkana Tinnayan Karaikana Kadalan Guhan Yennum Payarudayan. Rama goes to Guha's house. Guha says, I've just read about you newspaper, Rama. You've come to my house. Guha, stop falling at my feet. Oh, have I done a wrong thing, Rama? No. A friend should never fall at the other person's feet. Come and hug me. He embraced Guha. He went to the house of Shabari. See, Shabari was a Shramani, says Valmiki. Shramani iti Shabari. Shramani means a lady who lived like a sannyasi. So generally, sannyasa ashramam was not officially granted to a woman because a woman largely lived like a sannyasini even during her grihastha days. The one who abandons, sacrifices is the sannyasi. She lives like that. So there is no need for that ashrama, but she lived like a sannyasini. So she was called Shramani. Shramana, incidentally, is one movement that began very old. In those days, there were people who were agnostic and later became atheist in approach. One set were called Ajivikas. Ajivikas got the Barabar hills during the 5th century BCE of the earlier Gupta period and Maurya period. Jaina Matam, Jaina, they have 24 Tirthankaras. The 24th is Mahavira. The first was a person called Rishabhanatha. Rishabhanatha is the father of Bharata. Rishabhanatha was the son of a king called as Nabhi. All this comes in Bhagavatam. Now this Rishabhanatha, after giving away the kingdom to his son Bharata, he wanders in different forests of Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, travels the complete west coast and settles near Kutakachalam. Kutakachalam is the current day Coorg or Kodagu. There he lives a life which is akin to that of a python, because a python doesn't go in search of food. It eats whatever comes on its way near it. Similarly, he lives the life like a crow and so on, and finally gets burnt in the forest fire. He lived like an Avadhuta sannyasi. That is why Jainism became very popular in Karnataka. This Rishabhanatha had another wife, Jayanti, through which he had a son called as Bahubali. This Bahubali is different. This Bahubali also meditated in a pose called Kayot Sargam. Creepers grew over him. Popularly, he was called Gomatha. So you have a temple called Gomatheshwara in a place called Shravana Belagola. Right? So you had Jainism becoming very popular in Karnataka. Earlier, it didn't start as a matam against Vedas. Over a period of time, it became against Vedas. But they started borrowing many things from Sanatana Dharma. They have 16 attributes that you see in a dream, of which Mahalakshmi is a part. So all this they started coming, and then Jainism branched itself. I'm not getting into the principles of Jainism now. That's not in now the scope of our study. So they were a part of Shramana movement. Then I will deal with Buddha also today. So these people later became Shramanas. This Shabari was one such lady. She had extreme devotion to her Acharya called Matanga. While she wanted to go with Matanga, in those days, some of the sannyas ashrams, even in Jainism to one extent, they believe that for ashrama dharma, you have to get into blazing fire. So the Acharya got into blazing fire. He said, you stay back, Rama will come along, we do Atiti Satkaram to him and then come. So Shabari waited for the moment when Rama and Lakshmana come. She offered fruits, not bitten fruits. That she didn't give. She gave fruits. Rama consumed. Now Shabari attained moksham through the grace of her Acharya, and Rama saw this. Shabari moksha sakshi bhuta. So Rama goes to Guha's ashramam, Bharadvaj ashramam, Sutikshna ashramam, Sharabanga ashramam, Agastya ashramam, Valmiki ashramam, Jatayu moksham. He goes place after place, not expecting the devotees to come to him to give his grace. The one that keeps going place after place is Vayu. So Rama is called Vayu because he goes place after place blessing his devotees. This is the meaning. So the Nama says, Swayameva tatra tatra tan gacchati iti Vayu. Swayameva, he himself, tan, wherever they are, he goes there. Tatra tatra tan gacchati iti Vayu. Now, there is another Nama of Rama. The eyes of the Lord. See, our scriptures will keep describing the eyes of the Lord again and again. Everywhere you see eyes of the Lord. Lotus petal, eyes of the Lord. Everywhere. You should, when you describe the eyes of the Lord, Ramanuja says, don't say beautiful eyes. Sir, what should we say? Ramanuja says, remember this. Gambhiramba samudbhuta sumrishtanala ravikara vikasita pundarikadala amala ayatekshanaha. Every time you describe the eye, you should take like this. Gambhiramba samudbhuta sumrishtanala ravikara vikasita pundarikadala amala ayatekshanaha. Alva tells, Kadiyavagi Pudevarandu Medirundu Shabbariyodi Nee. The eyes should extend till the ears. That is Samudrika Lakshana Shastra. That is why dancers, interestingly, they'll put the kajal till the eyes. Give business to high-techs. So how is the Lord as Rama? Shubhekshana. You get this Nama, Shubhekshanaha Ramo. You get that Nama, right? Shubhekshanaha. What does Shubhekshanaha mean? I will borrow some from Shankara Bhashyam. Shankara says, Ikshanam darshanam yasya shubhakaram. See, we are all nice people. We are all nice people. But I don't know how many of you are like this. I am not generally very superstitious, but when I go for an exam, I will expect certain things. I should take only this pen. I should take only this eraser. I should take only this sharpener. There are 2-3 ways to go to my school. I will take only one way. Last time I went by this way. So that way, I don't know, you're all past that level. You are all great. But I'm telling in my level. So we will escape the eyes of certain people. Our path to turn. Last time he saw, somehow I was not able to recollect my those molecule names at all. I forgot the atomic number of potassium. I saw him and went, so my potassium atomic number is So here Shankara says, Ikshanam darshanam yasya, looking at whose eyes good things happen. Shubhakaram. Narana mumukshuna mokshadam. Those who desire moksham get moksham. Bhogartinam bhogadam. I saw on the way, honest. You know this honest? So, Bhogartinam bhogadam. You have imagined the podi in idli to be nice and honest, you'll get very good. So you look at Rama and go, you get good podi idli. Bhogartinam bhogadam. Whatever you wish, looking at Rama's eyes, you get. Papinam pavanam. Again applicable to us. If we have committed sins, all our sins will get eradicated. Sarva Sandeha Vicheda Karanam Hridaya Granthe Vicheda Karanam Sarva Karmanam Chapanam Avidyayascha Nivartakam Cha Shubhekshanaha. Looking at whose eyes, all good things happen. Shankara Bhashya. No, Parashara Bhatta states, Evam Vidhaishwarya Sheelatishaya Pishuna Sheetala Vishala Udara Dika Rajiva Lochanaha Shubhekshanaha. The one whose eyes are large, beautiful, cool glances, nectarine like race cup. See, we may answer from the eyes can it come? We may ask. What it means is you'll get good vibes from that person. In Natya Shastram, there is a detailed note given about Nayika Bhava. How the man will face a problem if he thinks about the Nayika, or the Nayika will have a problem thinking about the Nayaka. So there are two kinds of Shringarams. One is called Vipralamba Shringaram, the other is Samyoga Shringaram. With the Swami, you'll feel very happy. Without that Nayika, you'll feel very sad. General rule, but in certain places it could be with the Nayika, you'll feel sad also. See, I generally take people on yatras. The last 9 years I've been doing. Not very regularly, we have done about 27, 28 yatras, but it happens in different periods when my discourses are not generally that much there and the weather is good. So many people register and then they'll say, these are the names, and we will keep those names. The team will allot seats in the bus. So generally, if they are like the husband's wife, the wife's sister, all of them come, then we may have to allot them 2 here, 1 there. But the names may get generally jumbled. So they'll come, no, you have to allot us together. So then we'll say the husband and wife, you sit, the sister, let them sit together. Finally, they'll sleep. But for sleeping, they have to sleep together. The Dampati Daivatam Naha. So one yatra, one mommy came angrily to, what have you done? Yeah, now no T, 2G, G square also is not. What have I done? So she said, you have allotted 13 and 14 to me and my husband. I said, correct, next seats. Why did you allot him next to me? This is Vipralamba. Now Radha, the moment she sensed that Krishna was not attending to her, who was seated by the banks of river Yamuna, she tells her Sakhi, see, the rays of the moon are burning me. Rays of the moon won't burn. The smell of the sandal is so obnoxious. Nindati chandanam indu kirana manu vindati khedam adhiram nindati chandanam indu kirana manu. So this can get really, even the glances of a person, the rays of the moon can get troublesome if the Nayika is not there. So whenever this is described, we have to think that along with Sita, when Rama gives darshan, his eye glances are Sheela Tishaya, Pishuna, Sheetala, Vishala, Udara, Dirgha, Rajiva Lochanaha, Shubhekshanaha. The one whose eye glances are so beautiful. To which the commentator states, Swakarmakam Swakartrikam cha darshanam atishubham asyeti shubhekshana. Look at the commentary. There was a saying, Valmiki mentions this in Ramayana. What was the saying? During the times of Rama, if you have lived, and if you haven't seen Rama, or if Rama hasn't seen you, you should be ridiculed. Yascharamam na pashyetu, yancharamo na pashyati, ninditasya vase loke. So you should have seen Rama, tick mark. Or Rama should have seen you, tick mark. You might have not seen, but Rama would have seen. Then you're fine. Else you have to be ridiculed. Is this shloka? See, I'll give you one example for this. The first shlokam of Narayaniyam is Sandranandavabodhatmakamanupamitam Kaladeshavadibhya Nirmuktam Nityamuktam Nigamashata Sahasrena Nirbhasyamanam Aspashtam Drishtamatre Punaha Urupurusharthatmakam Brahmatattvam Tatavat Bhati Sakshat Guru Pavanapure Hantabhagyam Jananam, says Bhattatri. The first shloka was the first dashaka. After having learned and listened to the lectures of the stalwart Sengalikuram Anantarama Dikshita, one another scholar, Jayaram Sharma, he heard and he wanted to have darshan of Sri Krishna, who is housed in the sanctum sanctorum of Guruvayur in Kerala. His friend said, I have been to Guruvayur. I shall take you. Jayaram Sharma, come with me. The friend and Jayaram Sharma went to Guruvayur. Bahut bheed tha. Extremely crowded. And I told you about the Kerala temples, right? Small vigraham inside, natural light. They'll say, go, and then with that, they'll throw that chandana, you have to catch like Ashwin Ramachandran. So, Jayaram Sharma took his friend. By the time they were pushed, pulled, darshan was over. He came out. Jayaram Sharma said, he started crying. The friend asked, is it because you've seen the Lord that you're crying? No, I was not able to see. I was pushed, sir. I was not able to see. That is when he said, see, Bhattatri has said, Drishtamatre punaha Gurupurusharthatmakam Brahmatattvam. Drishtamatre, I didn't see him. To which the friend said, you have wrongly interpreted it. It doesn't mean you have seen him. He has seen you. Drishtamatre, he has seen you. Drishtamatre punaha. See, these are all very interesting and very memorable interpretations from our Shastra. Rukmini, who grew up as the daughter of Bhishmaka, grew up in Vidarbha. There is a debate about which is Vidarbha. In my understanding, Vidarbha is Nagpur, Vidarbha region. And the Sanskritam spoken in those days in Nagpur was the purest Sanskritam. It was called Vaidarbhi. Any Maharashtrians here? So, beautiful Sanskritam in Nagpur. So, Rukmini belonged to that place. Rukmini's brother wanted to get her married to Shishupala. Shishupala was Krishna's cousin. So, Jarasandha and Shishupala were the members of a Gymkhana club. Rukmini was a new entrant. So they said, Rukmini, come here, join us in that carom. As they were playing, Rukmini said, see, I have a sister, I don't know when she's going to get married. Jarasandha said, don't worry, we have a son-in-law here. Here is the boy, take Shishupal. So next day, they informed Menaka. Menaka cards. C. Shishupal, B. Rukmini. All of you are invited. And everybody was told. And those pouches were all made ready. In that there was one little mixture, a small coconut, one blouse piece. What is blouse piece called? Ravi cake. My grandmother used to say, there's only Ravi, there's no cake. All this was put. Everything was ready. Previous day, Rukmini had her Janavasam and Nishyatartham with Shishupala. Andal tells, Kannalam Godithu Kannidannai Kaipidippan Tinnar Dirunda Shishupalam Tam Kesharinda Annar Dirkave Angavale Kaipiditha Kanalam. So that evening Janavasam, you know that Janavasam, the boy will be made to sit in that ambassador car. With sellotape, they'll put that rose. And then the girl will be made to sit, and then between them some nameless child. And then the car will slowly go. That was the background check in those days. Because they didn't know who the boy was, right? So they'll take him slowly on the road. If somebody like, the background check. They used to take in that car. And where was the car taken? Slowly it has to go. It was taken in the outer ring road of Bangalore. ಮೆತ್ತಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅವ್ರು ಇದಾರ ಇಲ್ಲಿ, ನಮ್ಮೂರು ಮೆತ್ತಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಮುಂದೆ ಇಬ್ರು ನಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ ಜಾನ್ವಾ ಸರ್ ಮೆತ್ತಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. So Rukmini, then she realized, see, there is no use marrying this man. He's telling pose. Rukmini, so she immediately drafted a love letter. She rolled and she called one Brahmana, Dvija. Go and give this to Krishna in Dwaraka. Edukku mami, onamanga. Don't raise your voice, man. Put it down. The chariot is ready, take it immediately. Brahmana sat into, and then Krishna said, oh, you come from Dwaraka? Read. The moment he started, Shrutva, Krishna knew the tone and tenor was like a love letter. He said, you give it to me. Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundara shrivatante nirvishya karna vivarahi haratongatapam rupam drisham drishimatam akhilathalabham vayachuta avishadi chittamapatrapam me. I'm suffering from fever, 104, Krishna. Krishna asked, why? I've fallen in love with you. Have you seen me? No, I've heard about you. Just by hearing, I've fallen in love. Shrutva. What, Rukmini, if I don't look that great? That's okay. Dhanush has said. Paata pudikadu, paaka pudikadu. So, Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundara shrivatante. I've heard about your gunas. Krishna said, don't lie. Hey, jhoot mat bolo. Nobody asked why. See, people call me a cattle thief. They call me an abductor. People say that I've stolen loads of butter. I lie. Have you heard Shishupala talk about me? He abuses me. In every online forum, he writes about me. And you're telling that Shrutva Guna, you have heard about me. Rukmini says, you're very weak in Sanskrit, Krishna. You went to Sandipani's course much later. You skipped those basic lessons. Shrutva Agunan. Agunam. Agunam means dosham. Krishna, I've fallen in love with you based on your doshams. See, our hero, he'll smoke. Agnihotri. They say, so even if he smokes, we like him. Shrutva agunan bhuvana. So gunam is split as agunam there. Similarly, drishtavatre doesn't mean we looking at him looking at us. Like how during the times of Rama, if Rama has not seen, at least we should see Rama. That person who has got eyes is called Subekshana. There is another mention here of Buddha avatar. Now, sir, this is where the problem comes. Mahabharatam, in our, I told you about the Aihole inscription. Did I tell about in the first day? First day I spoke. Around what time period Mahabharata is said to have happened? 3102 BC. 3100. So roughly how many years? 5000. When was Buddha?
2000.
2000. 2500. 500 BCE to 600 BCE was Buddha's period. So before him, you have to go around 2500 years to get Mahabharata. And in that Mahabharata is Vishnu Sahasranamam. So to say that there are names that talk about Buddha may be a bit irrelevant. Correct? You're able to get the timeline. But remember, Buddha is the title given to a person. It is not the name of a person. Even Buddhists will agree. You go ask Dalai Lama. But, right? Otherwise, you go ask Dalai Lama. Buddha is a title. That's all. Anybody who carries those set of philosophical tenets is called Buddha. Even in Ramayana, go check. In Valmiki Ramayana, in Ayodhya Kandam, when Rama refuses to accept the request of Bharata, who asks him to come to Ayodhya, on behalf of Bharata, Jabali, the minister, speaks. He says, Rama, your father is no more. I don't know what Pitrubhakya Paripalanam you're talking about. Your father is dead. You're giving pindam here. Will your father be eating that pindam there? He asks. So he asks, puts forth all values which are antithetical to the Vedic injunctions. Rama patiently listens. You know, Stephen Covey states, right? Fourth habit, 7 habits of highly effective people. Listen first to understand and then be understood. Stephen Covey has read Valmiki Ramayana. Rama patiently listens. Then he says, what are your comments? Jabali gives a long speech. He says, I don't believe in the Shraddham, Pinda Pradana. What is all this crap? You're giving Pindam here. Go to the grandpa. We don't know where he gives all these lectures. Rama listens patiently. Your comments, Rama, my father made a grave mistake, Jabali. What? Of having you as a minister. You are talking like a Buddha. There's a shlokam in Ramayana. So even 5000 BCE, during the times of Ramayana, there was the concept of Buddha. So at every point in time, there will be people who will come with one set of thoughts. Whether we term it evil, bad, not to be heard is different, but they came with a certain thoughts. They were called Buddha. So the concept of Buddhism existed even during the times of Rama and Krishna. The latest known Buddha is 5000 BC Buddha. He was also called Siddhartha or Gautama. And how was that Buddha? Generally, Buddhas who come are very well spoken. They will speak very well. See, people who even talk atheism, they will talk the best. Nana, Numara best. If you listen to an atheist speak, he talks so well. They were called Charuvak in those days, not Charvak. Charu, very soft vak. He'll say, Namaste, sir. Very happy to talk to you. I know. I heard about it. It was very bad, sir. The rainwaters, I heard it spoiled your house. Right, but I believe you go to temples every weekend. Oh, very nice. But that's my question, sir. I just want to ask this for my clarification's sake. You go to temples, has that served any purpose? We'll think now, start thinking. Come on. So they will treat you in such a way that the poise, that pauses, those words that they use, the tone and the tenor will be so good that you will get melted and you say, well, atheism is a virtue. So they are called Charuvak or Lokayata. In those days, Buddhism and Jainism, they're also called Nastika Matam. Over a period of time, they started venerating Buddha, the person who said there is no God is God. That is different. They have 4 principles, which is Sarvam Shunyam Shunyam, Sarvam Swalakshanam Swalakshanam, Sarvam Kshanikam Shanikam. So these are all the 4 principles we have. Now these principles were further condensed into Kshanikavadam in Buddhism. Everything is momentary. The easiest example Buddhists would give is when the candle is lit. So 8 o'clock, the height is 10 centimeters. 8:30, it is 5 centimeters. Why? The wax has come down, sir. Simple. As the wax comes down, the candle still continues to burn. The wick size also reduces. Correct? So at 8 o'clock, wax size is this. Wick size is this. 8:30, both reduce. So Buddhists say The fire that you see now is different from the fire you saw at 8 a.m. It is called Kshanikavadam. Every second is new fire. If this is so, they use Tarkavadam there. I'm not getting into the details of how Vedanta Deshika, Adi Shankara, they all refuted Buddhism. All that doesn't fall in the scope of this lecture. But this was called Kshanikavadam. Now they started coming up with sutras, aphorisms. They came from a sutra text called Abhidhamma. They spoke a language called Pali because Sanskritam was not very easily accessible to a pure commoner. It had a lot of rules. So Sanskritam was further crude. It was made crude into two languages. One was Prakritam, the other was Pali. Amma Gurunamachuya Jiya Siya Sannami Lattava Itto Padivaya Paramatto Varesi Apandita Attanamammanam. This is Prakritam. Attihirikko Akadayam Nattuye Tasya Jantuno Sattam Manasa Sunnarattanam Sampajjayi. This is Pali. So all of Ashoka's edicts will be in Pali. So Abhidhamma, instead of Dharma, they will say Dhamma. Abhidhamma came up with certain sutras. Certain Buddhists believed in those sutras. They were called Sautrantikas. Certain did not. They came up with a few other interpretations. They were called Vaibhashikas. Certain people believed that yoga as a science should be interspersed. They were called Yogacharas. Some people came midway. They were called Madhyamikas. These are the four classes in Buddhism. When we all do Shastric study for 1 year, we have to study Buddhism. 1 year, we have to study Buddhism. Next to 1 year, they will teach us how to refute Buddhism philosophically. So 1 year, we will close to become Buddhists. We'll go to Dharmashala itself. Buddham Charanam Gacchami. Because Buddhists used to have curd rice in the early morning without brushing their teeth in those days. That is why Kumarila Bhatta was caught. All that is a different chapter now. This Buddhism lays its stress on Buddha, who used to speak well and attract people and bring them away from the Vedic injunctions. How was he to look at? There is a work called Buddha Charitram. Can anyone tell who is the author of Buddha Charitram? Any guess? Ashwaghosha. Ashwaghosha was the author of Buddha Charitram. It is one of the precursor to Kalidasa's book. It was alongside Bhasa's place. So how is Buddha described? Buddha is described with a huge tummy, tonsured head, eyes very captive, and a huge smile. You see that laughing Buddha, right? That is how Buddha was. But later, to fit into that yogic sense, they made him Thai massage Buddha. He's very thin, hip, like Hrithik Roshan. Now, this Buddha, 787 to 810th Nama describes Buddha. The 799th Nama states, Ratnanabha, Ratnanabha Sulochanaha, Arkovasa Shringi, Jayanta Sarva Vijjayi. All these Namas describe Buddha. Why is he called Ratnanabha? Panditya Vidambana Mrishtodara Vyakta Ratnanabhi Ratnanabha. When certain sects of Brahmanas got slightly arrogant with the knowledge that they had bequeathed of the Vedic Shastras, the Lord himself came as Buddha to go against these Brahmanas. So he used to move his hand over his tummy, which was looking like a tummy filled with gems. Ratnanabha, he used to come. And he used to come with captive eyes. Sulochanaha. And as Buddha used to come, we generally, if we have to position a Japanese woman, I'm talking of the past, we'll give her that beautiful fan in her hand. So Buddha used to come with a fan, and hence he used to carry that fan of peacock feathers. He was called Shringi. So that Nama says, Shringamivahimsa Vidambana Pinchikasya Karestiti Shringi. The one who says, I'm going to preach non-violence, ahimsa, and he'll come with a bunch of peacock feathers in his hand and fill fan for himself is called Shringi. Mayura Pincham it is called. So, Buddha is referred to as Shringi, Ratnanabha. Sir, Buddha is okay, sir. Now, give us some more avatars. One beautiful avatar, which is like a National Geographic channel. there was one elephant. This elephant was called Gajendra, huge elephant. Have you seen? You know, there is one festival that celebrates so many elephants together. It happens in Trishur. Pura. Beautiful festival. They'll be full of elephants. And there is one hero elephant. He has got one Facebook page also. Ramachandra. He has got 7 criminal cases against him. But everybody will take one selfie with Ramachandra. No evidence. So there's a beautiful festival that happens near Vadakkanathan temple in Trishur. So there will be Trivambadi Krishna who comes. Beautiful festival. So this Gajendra was the leader among elephants. He went to the pond. And as he went into the pond, he kept his foot. And there were many female elephants. All this I'm not telling. It comes in Bhagavatam. They all followed Gajendra. He was a hero. Kisi ka bhai, kisi ka jaan. So he came. All the female elephants came. Now he put his legs and slowly plucked one flower, beautiful lotus flower, and he kept it in his trunk. Now, of course, our acharyas will say he wanted to do puja to the Lord. No puja, no aarti. Kisi ka puja nahi. Om Jagdish Hare was not here. He took that flower just like that for style. And all the other female elephants, they click. Normal incidents. So this all happens every day in forest. If you go to Masai Mara, you'll see all this. Now the elephant wanted to come back to the land from the waters. As he took 3 of his legs out, the last foot was caught. He checked, why is it caught? I don't know how many of you do this sweet called Manoharam. First, you'll have to fry some and then make the jaggery concoction. In that jaggery concoction, Shanta Pati says. You know Shanta Pati? So Shanta Pati says you have to put that jaggery in that water. Now you have to check how many threads come. And then do the proper Manoharam. Else, it will be a big exercise for the mouth. So if you leave it for some extra seconds, it will get caught. Your hand will get caught, like the Gajendra's foot. Remember this. Every time you do Manoharam, think of Gajendra. Now the elephant's foot was caught. This is an everyday incident in a national park. If you go to any forest, it will happen. Nothing great in this. The elephant was suffering. It was in withering pain. When does it turn divine? Till now it is National Geography. That instant when the elephant remembered its previous birth. Krishna talks about this in Bhagavad Gita. Those few individuals who can manage to think and remember of their past janmas are called Jati Smaraha. The elephant managed to remember its previous janma. It knew that it was a Pandyan king. There was a great king called as Indradyumna. Indradyumna was performing Aradhanam to the Lord. Achyutaya Namaha, Anantaya Namaha, Govindaya Namaha, Krishaya Namaha, Vishnave Namaha, Madhusudanaya Namaha, Trivikramaya Namaha. As he was doing Archana, Agastya Rishi came. Agastya was the shortest of the rishis. Too short. It is said he was born out of a kumbham. Pura kumbha sambhava munipara prapujitam trikona madhyagatam murari pramukha dyupasitam mooladhara kshetra sthitam paradi chatvari Vagatmaka Pranava Paradi Chatvari Vagatmaka Pranava. Pranavam has 4 levels from which it has to come. Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, Vaikhari. Those of you who recite Lalita Sahasranamam will know. Para, Pashyanti, Kshiti, Rupa, Pashyanti, Paradevata, Madhyama, Vaikhari, Rupa, Bhaktamana, Sahamsika. This is that 4. Para, Pashyanti, Vaikhari, Madhyama. So he says, Paradi Chatwari Bhagatmaka Pranava. Who taught this? Pura Kumbha Sambhava Muni. Vara Kumbha Sambhava Muni, the one who was born in a pot. Now, this Agastya was a very short rishi. In the medical terminology, you can take that pot like a petri dish. Right? So, this rishi came. He was too short. Even if you sit, you can't see him. So, this rishi came, and this king was doing Archana. Good king, Indratyumna. So, he was doing Abhamanaya Namaha, Chudaya Namaha, Rishikeshaya Namaha, Padmanabhaya Namaha, Damodaraya Namaha. He nodded his head. This rishi got angry. You have insulted me by nodding your head, so you shall be born as the one that keeps nodding its head. So what should we do? We should not even nod our heads. How you know, but it So now this Indradyumna Pandya Raja was Gajendra. And Gajendra, incidentally, due to the effect of his bhakti yogam in the previous janma, was able to remember what had happened in the past. Now he did a stuti. In Bhagavatam, there will be experts of Bhagavatam here. It is called Gajendra Moksha Stuti. It begins. Now, there are about 11, I think 10, 11 shlokas in Gajendra Moksha Stuti. Very beautiful. It is in Chase Samskrita. Now, what will be our understanding? Like that Lion King movie, that elephant would have animated. Om Abhyaktaya Adi Bijaya Paramatmani. Right? But remember, the elephant would have not spoken. The elephant would have thought of the Lord of all of these attributes in his mind. Shuka Brahman has given a shloka form to his inner prayer. If I go to certain houses, the dog will bark. They will tell openly, maybe he doesn't like you. So they are able to communicate what the dog wants to tell me. I don't like you. So Shuka Brahman was able to translate the prayer that the elephant was doing from its mind into shlokas. So now the elephant cried for help. It said, the causeless cause come and protect me. You should be the cause. But you shouldn't have a cause. See, I have a cause, who's my father. But my father isn't a causeless cause. He has his father. So there is a cause to every cause. So I would want the causeless cause to protect me. So he said, Adi Moolame. This was split into Adi and Moolam. Moolam alone echoed. Moolam, 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 Moolam. That time, Saraswati Devi was playing Veena. She said, Brahma ji, aapko bula rahe. So Brahma called, Hams, come here, Hams. And then he sat. She said, it will be a long journey. You take this coconut rice with you. And dabba. The same Moola Shabdam was heard in Adi Mooleti Kinne Naham Naham Nachaham. It was heard in Kailash. There, Shiva and Parvati, they were married because both of them were dancers. See, auditor, generally they'll marry only auditor. So, here he was a dancer, she was a dancer. Both very good dancers. So, as they were dancing, they heard Adi Mooleti Kinne, Moolam, Moolam. So then Parvati said, see, that elephant is calling Shivji, ab jaiye. Nandi, kidhar ho? So then Nandi came, she packed some puliora. See, she packed. You know, while I was telling all these descriptions in Delhi had a Bhagavata Saptaham in English. I was telling Krishna had curd, rice, she packed this. They got extremely upset. Kya hai sir? Sabhi rice. Chapati. They would have had chapati. You're a South Indian, tu Madrasi, rice. I said, Shukha Brahmam has said, when Krishna had food, Vame Pano Masrila Kabalam Tatphalamam Yulishu. Bhagavatam states on his left hand he had curd rice. Krishna had curd rice. What can I do? He could have had dal bati churma. Yeah. He had only curd rice. Then are you saying that there was no wheat in those days? People are ready to fight. If you say there was no wheat, in Vedam there is mention of wheat. In Chamakam we say Goduma Chame. He had chapati, maybe that day he had curd rice, next day he would have had chapati. So here Parvati packed something. See, I'll get 5 mails based on all of this. Next, Shachi Devi packed one box for Indra. And they all started. Skhalati Kunjara Kunjariti Shakunte, says Vedanta Deshika and Garuda Panchasha. They all started. Now I told you Adi Moolam, right? That Moolam Shabdam alone echoed. That Adi did not come. There are, as such, there was Sri Ramji, Prasannaji, all experts in music. Today we have Sangeeta Kalanidhis seated here, but I have the audacity to sing in front of them. That is my. So in Shastriya Sangeetam, there is one particular segment where to bring out the essence of the ragam and the sahityam, one line is taken out from the composition and people hover around that line. It is called Nerava. Those of you who do not know Shastriya Sangeetam, you will follow this. If you listen to 1 or 2 concerts, you will be able to understand. Iha varagati nine gindira ramana. Iha varagati nine Indira Ramana, Iha Paragati Nine, Indira Ramana. I brought my father. My father and music are poles apart. This is not pole, he's South Pole. I took him to one concert. And we are doing something at a very higher level. Iha Paragati Nine, Indira Ramana, Iha Paragati. So that Iha Paragati Indira Ramana. Similarly, Adi Moolame, Adi was left. Moolame, they all started. Now this Adi was heard. Adi, costless cos was heard. Then Shiva and Brahma said, no, we are not a costless cos, and they returned with the same box. Coconut. In my school days, I remember, I used to have standard curd rice. There was no second option at all. Curd rice in the central. Rasamandala Madhye, there used to be that small mango. Standard food. So we used to go to school and then, don't take me in the wrong spirit. In those days, one president or somebody, they will die. That day we'll get one leave. So first period itself, they'll say, no, president is dead. We have to go. Sorry to say this, then we used to feel very happy. Very wrong to say all this, but don't take me back. So we used to take and we used to come home with the hope that we will escape the curd rice today. But my mother used to eat the same curd rice. So I have to have the same food. So now that was the food for Brahma, that coconut rice. Now what happened in Vaikuntham? The Lord was listening. I told you yesterday how he returns. Very casual. Now the moment he heard the wail of the elephant, Devi Hastambuja Yakisalaye, says Parachur Bhatta. He withdrew his leg in a flash. So much so that her hands were floating in the air. The legs were withdrawn. He jumped out of the serpent couch. Generally, he is very well dressed. Vishnu, Alankara Priyo Vishnu, very well dressed. You should not ask whether he has had bath. They will leave it to Shiva. Abhisheka Priyo Shiva. Shiva is always into waters. That is why for Parvati, it was a new phenomenon. Complete man, Raymond Mary. So, here the Lord jumped from his serpent couch. Shankam and Chakram, the Ayudha Purushas, they were resting for some time. After many days, they got rest. The Lord rushed. The Ayudhas had to run double their speed to match the Lord's speed. Garuda was seated for some time. See, there are two ways to get into a cycle. Pilani used to drive. How many Pilani people here? One. So we used to have many bhavans. So we had to drive to that particular, from the hostel to this thing. Two ways to get into a cycle. You sit on that cycle and start pedaling, or run along with the cycle and jump onto it. So he dragged Garuda and then jumped onto it and said, go. So Garuda said, put that drop point correctly. Where should I go? You tell me that. Go, that child is suffering, big child. So finally he put that exact location. And then as the Lord was about to reach that Tatakam, he looked right. Chakram was missing. I've left it in Vaikuntham. My goodness, what to do? Will they FedEx it to me? By the time he turned and checked, the Chakram had done its job. It had done its job. Why? Because there is a Vedantic message here. The Lord's willpower, divine will, is called as Saudarshanam in Agama. His divine will is called Saudarshanam. That Saudarshanam is generally brought in the form of a Sudarshana image. So Sudarshana is his will, divine will. Sankalpam, we call it. The Lord's Sankalpam. What is Sankalpam? See, the Srishti that we believe in Sanatana Dharma, which has happened, has not happened because the Lord has taken some stones, some mud, put them together, given a few hills here and there, Appalachians. He put some water, then they turned into Mississippi, Missouri, nothing. He thought, let the world be created, and it got created. It is Sankalpa Matram, Bahusyam Prajaye, it will get created. Creation or Panchikarana Prakriya is not a physical activity in Sanatana Dharma. So he thinks it will happen. For us, it is not the case, right? Children are left at home. Let their stomachs be full. You have to go and eat. We cook. See, my Acharya used to give a very interesting example, illustration to talk about divine will. Imagine I have a house in the 3rd floor, no lift, no escalator, no elevator. You have to climb the stairs and reach my house. It is the day of Amavasya, new moon, no source of light. Mobile also doesn't have power, no torch, no other light. I walk up the stairs. As I cross every floor, since I've been walking up these stairs day in and day out, I know at the bottom of my heart how many steps are there. As I keeping one step after the other, automatically at the 10th step, my mind will say the steps have ended. If I was new to this place, I will keep the 11th step and then I'll get a hit. Then I will realize, oh, steps have ended. Correct? Have you had this experience? Yes. Now imagine I am inviting God one day. God also listens. Swami, please come to my house. I have made nice korakatai. Come and have. Kadugu. Come. God says, okay. If Bhakta calls, I'll come. At least now I like to call myself Bhakta. So the Lord comes with me. The Lord is not accustomed to climbing up the stairs like me day in and day out. Same Amavasya Ratri, no source of power, there's no elevator, escalator. He has to also keep steps one after the other like me. He is a new entry. He doesn't know there are only 10 steps. While he completes the 10th and he keeps the 11th, unlike me, he will not hit on the ground. The 11th step will come. Because he's thinking there is 11th step. So the 11th step has to come. He thinks it has to be there. That is called Sankalpam. So the Lord, Sankalpam, was to protect the devotee. So his willpower preceded him. That is why Sudarshana did its job. When he got out from that serpent couch, he was perturbed. Oh, that poor elephant is crying for help. This actress attribute in the Lord that his devotee is suffering. The one who feels the pain of his devotee is called Shishiraha. 913th Nama. So you have heard this Shishira, Sharvari Karaha, Akrura Peshalo, Daksho, Dakshinakshaminam Baraha, Vidbhaktamo, Vita Bhaya Punya Shravana Kirtanaha. So that is that Shishira, 913th Nama. Artha Shabda Shravanantaram Atitvaraya Gataha Shishiraha. The one who listens to the pain, Artha Shabdaha, pain of distress. Arti means distress. So if you listen to distress and then the Lord reacts, it is called Shishiraha. Now, even when he went to protect the devotee, I told you he did not arrange his necklace, dress, and all of that. That day he was not interested in all of it. So he did not do the alankaram properly. Hair was in a different state. Kritam was not there. Ayudhas are in different positions. Uttariyam is in a different position. Even then, he looked very handsome. See, generally these movie industry people, they'll show before makeup and after makeup. See, in Krishna Avataram, we come across Krishna's friend called Kuchela. Chela in Sanskritam means Vastra. Ku Shabdam, prefix is added to say something bad. Kuja. The Graha, Mars is called Kuja. Ravi Sashi Guru Shukra Shanaishchara Rahu Ketu Netaram Ravi Shashi Kuja. Kuja. He's called Bhauma, Mangala, and so on. Kuttapakalam, Kumuda, because lotus arises from the marshes. Kumuda. Ku is added. Now, when we deal with Kuchela, his Vastram was Kuchela. Why? Because in ancient days, again I'm telling the norm those days, be it the man or the woman, they should wear or drape themselves with one strand of cloth. It should be continuous, whether it's sari or Vastram. Then you can cut it. You should not bring two different pieces of clothing and stitch them together. Then it's a sign of poverty in those days. You bring two different pieces, stitch and put, sign of poverty. Today it's designer. You put nice optic work here and there. It looks very nice. Now, Kuchela was that kind of a poor man. He was married. He had 27 children. That he could have avoided. But he still had 27 children. He is believed to have been Krishna's Balya friend. That 64 days Krishna studied in Sandipani Ashram. By then, Kuchela had become a very good friend. We don't know what is his exact name. Bhagavatam doesn't state his original name at all. Kuchela is a Karananam. Poor clothed. Will somebody have this name? What is your name's meaning? Poor clothed. Kuchela. We call him Kuchela. See, in our houses, we are all very good at giving nicknames. Ashakachima. Was this the name given by his parents? He did that Ashakachima. Kodugarapachu. Similarly, here Kuchela, he was very poor, suffering in the heights of destitution. His wife said, Sakshat, Shriyapati, your friend is the king of Dwaraka. He owns an island. That is the trend now, to buy islands. So why don't you go and ask your friend's help? He's the World Bank. So Kuchela went from Porbandar. Those Rakshakas did not let him. Finally, he said, go introduce me as Kuchela, Sudhama, he will know. Krishna then came running to Kuchela, made him sit on the gem-studded Simhasanam, asked Rukmini to fan him. Finally, he said, okay, Kuchela, you have Dokla, Fafda, Khandvi, Thepla, Chunda, Undiyo, have all of this. He took some rest and then said, what have you brought for me? Kuchela felt very bad because after having such a lavish spread, he has brought flattened rice, poha. He said, no, there's nothing. No. Sushila ji would have sent something. Then he took that little pouch and saw that flattened rice poha. And Krishna had this. Kuchela was feeling very embarrassed. See, what is he having? He had that flattened rice. The second fistful that he was supposed to have, Rukmini came and stopped. She said, no, don't have it. That's all, it stopped. No. Kuchela didn't ask for anything to Krishna. He left. As he reached his hamlet, his own place, by his tree, there was some other big mansion in his place. One lady was standing outside, beautiful sari, korvai, red mountain border. So he went closer to that lady. Mommy, my house used to be here. Sushila used to stay. Na Sushila. Sushila, you were so good looking before. What has happened to you now? See, I go for giving lectures in these marriages. So the parents on both sides, first they will have a Zoom call with me, then they will introduce the boy and the girl. Before that reception, they will go for 2 hours of alankar. It will cost a bomb. They will come. They were very good before. So whether the marriage happens or not, today Sangeet has to happen. All the unfulfilled desires of both the set of parents, they have to dance. So the Sushila was seen. So when he saw Sushila, he understood, Sushila, why do you look Swami? 12:45, I was grinding chutney. That grinding stone turned into ninja. The pot where it kept rice had become Insta pot. Krishna, that is when Kuchela remembered it was at the same time Krishna consumed that rice. I didn't ask, he gave. There he didn't ask, Krishna granted him. Here the Gajendra requested for the help. That is when the Lord came with all his accessories in a disarray, yet looked beautiful. So he's called Peshalaha. Akrura Peshalo Daksho. Peshalaha means Sambhramad Yatha Yathastrag Vibhushambara Ramaniyaha Peshalaha. Even if they are in different positions, different places, he looks handsome. Right? He's called Peshalaha. Now we have those 6 questions that I have to answer. First 6 questions, then answers to those 6 questions, one nama for the 6th quality, a few more namas. All this concluding day tomorrow. So I'm sure all of you with your tight work schedules, lot of work at home. So most of you wouldn't have felt the effect of Corona at all in the beginning, because here all of you sweep, mop, do the dishes, cook, like Parabrahmam, you do everything. Only in Bharat Desham we felt. First day when our Modi ji came and announced March 24th, stay at home. So we thought this is a wonderful opportunity. First day, like Statue of Liberty, we took the broom. We started sweeping. So much dust. That lady, what is she doing? We started scolding that lady. Second day, it tilted by an angle of 1 degree. That broom. Slowly, the broom came down in the 21 days. 20th day, we wanted Modi ji to tell everything has gone. 21st day. 21st day he came. Another set of 21 days lockdown. So the 30th day, when our maid came, we did Sharanagati. Bhagya Attittagalada Bhaktara Manulu Nitya Mahotsava Nitya Sumangala Satyavatorula Sadhu Sajjamara Siddhati Gula Yuga Puttari Gumne Bhagya Lakshmi Varam. Incidentally, our maid's name was Lakshmi. Very emotional connect was there with Purandaradasa Sahitya. So, but here you are all self-sufficient, you are all doing work on your own. With that, you have all come on big things. That is a great achievement. So, one more day, you have to suffer my Upanyasam. In my Upanyasam, off my Upanyasam, by my Upanyasam. Then from Saturday, you can be free. Okay, so tomorrow, 6:30, last day, concluding day of Sri Vishnu Sahasranamam. As requested, please make contributions to Sri Ahobala Math for their yeoman service to Sanatana Dharma. Be a part of their main group so that you understand where the Lord is going on Sancharam. Thank you once again. for showing your presence and giving abundant blessings. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashali Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha Swasti Prajapya Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Gobrahmanebhyo Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kayena Vacha Manasendriyeva Buddhyatmanava Prasadesvabhavat Karomi Ityat Sakalam Parasmai Srimanarayanayi Samarpayami. Kalyana Rupaya Kalau Jananam Kalyana Dhatre Karuna Sudhapte Kambari Divya Yudha Sadkaraya Vadalaya Dhisha Namo Namaste Narayana 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 Narayana